saw The Lion King and Space Jam here when there was a movie theater in the early 90s. So that was, kind of faint memory for me because I was so young. But I do remember coming here and watching movies. I know my mom and my grandmother came here and watched movies when they were younger too. So there is some memories of the movie theater aspect of this place when I was a kid. This was my start, basically. I started performing in 2010, a year after I graduated high school. And this was one of the first spots that I did a show at. And I rented it, and it was my family, friends, stuff like that. And then a couple years after that, they called me and a local band, the Lost Boys, they were doing shows around California, and they're coming here to the Soper-Reese. So they wanted openers, and they called me, and that was probably the biggest show of like that time for me, because this whole place was packed.
Vision of the theater was to provide a venue for the performing arts and for the arts in general. And we see ourselves as a resource for the community. We invite people to come and take advantage of that.
The Soper-Reese is a gathering place. It's a place people can come together to celebrate the things that bring them joy: music, art, movies, live theater, and the fact that it's an old historical building, it evokes a certain feeling and really brings out all that nostalgia and that connectivity to the things people love, the things that make life worth living.
You drive by this magnificent old building. And I didn't know much about it except for that it was the old movie theater.
I've always been interested in the arts, and it just seemed like an impossible dream to have a community theater.
I mean, we've gone for like movie nights at the Soper-Reese. They'll put on like classic movies.
I keep seeing really positive things happening here for children.
The theater gives some options to do things that without it, where do you go? Because it's kind of an anchor when you look around at the different programs, the different events and things that get planned in there. Without it, there'd be a big vacancy.
We are social animals, we are not computers, and you meet the locals when you come in there. It's a nice feeling.
I think the first show I did here was The Dastardly Dr. Devereaux, which was this horrible melodrama that was just fantastic. When you're on stage, there are times where you have to be the most vulnerable version of yourself. And that's where you get to make real, lasting connections with people.
I think it's just such a vital space for lots of different ideas, lots of different viewpoints. The variety of events that they bring, there's something for everybody.
The talent has come out of the woodwork because we're here. When you turn the lights out and you don't see the stuff that isn't painted and the warts that exist, that the place shows pretty well.
To find this place as a home, as a place to root myself and ground myself, both Lake County and this theater provided so much for me.
I think it's a great asset for Lakeport. They do a lot of programming for a city of roughly 6,000 people. I was kind of surprised.
I like going to the theater. It gives us something to do, gets us out. It's just kind of my special place at the Soper.
We're going to be always trying to find new people and to want to be here and want to do more.
Lake County, from my perspective, has always been very full of artists.
When you come here as a performer, as a volunteer, or as a patron, you feel like you're a part of the family that is the Soper-Reese Theatre. It was in '47, the Reeses, the patriarch of the Reeses, had a small building across the street, almost directly across the street, that he had movies in. His son, Bob, when he came back from World War II, they decided that they wanted to build a full theater. Ran the theater with his father, and then Margaret, eventually Bob's wife, did start working here and worked in the candy shop, and they ran the theater for many years. And Bob and Margaret were getting older and getting close to retirement, but they didn't see this being a good exit, and so they took on some partners and put together a project to build this 5-screen Cinemaplex that's down the street. And eventually they completely retired. And so the building sat vacant for a period of time when Jillian Billister said this might be a good venue for there to be a facility for the arts. Once that happened, then she had to figure out how the Arts Council could purchase it.
This was set vacant for a while. It was really sad. And a group of people got together and said, maybe we could turn this into a community theater.
And they wanted about $300,000 or $350,000 for the building. There was an older gentleman that came into the Arts Council gallery one day to just look at the gallery, and he was somebody who did some paintings, and he happened to talk to Jillian about it and said, well, how much did they want? And so she told him, and he thought for a second, and then he says, well, I can do that. And he wrote her a check for the amount to purchase the theater. And that was Jim Soper. And so it's the Soper-Reese Community Theater. It belongs to the community from the generosity and the vision of those people.
But I was here the day the paper was signed here in this lobby, and it was really exciting to think we'll actually have a theater. I was a probation officer during that time, and I saw how important it was for community service. I had a whole batch of juvenile offenders who needed to do community service. So we were painting floors and scrubbing walls and painting walls, and it was really good for everyone, and they took a real interest in making this happen.
My first show on this stage, the Soper-Reese stage, was 2007, which I think was shortly after it had reopened as a venue. I think it means a place to call home for performers of any kind, musicians, actors, dancers. I myself have never felt as at home on a stage as I have here, and I've performed in quite a few different venues. So from a performer standpoint, it's a place to call home. From an audience standpoint, it's a place to gather.
I never really fit in anywhere. It was a spot for me to belong. And it was so exciting the first time that I got to come in and actually work on this stage. When I moved up here in '06, I was homeless. In 2019, I became the mayor of Lakeport, and I'm now going to be the principal of a small Christian school. I did that in Lake County. I couldn't have done it where I was from. You know, Lake County gave me a place to grow up, to get a life, to get a life worth living. The theater, the Soper, gave me access to amazing people.
We met doing a show.
We met doing a show.
Not on this stage, but on one across the lake.
From Lake County, Santa Rosa, Napa, like all that area, Vallejo, the 707 area code's like my stomping ground. I do features, probably 1 or 2 features a week sometimes. The bigger venues, everybody's just like, it's like a huge painting. You can't really tell who's who, and everyone's mashed together. I always am like, man, the Soper is so much better than this. Like, I really love this place.
It's a lovely theater. I mean, it's the perfect size. You know, there's not a bad seat in the house. You come to a show here, you'll get a good seat wherever you sit, and you know, I don't want to overstate it. It's not the Orpheum Theater in San Francisco. It's not Radio City Music Hall, but it's a proper theater that gives a kind of gravitas. There's an importance to what goes on stage here.
What they ended up doing is they had a touring show that had a stop here. It's called Jane Doe in Wonderland, and it was about human trafficking. And it was a hard-hitting show that had people thinking. And at the end, our police chief at the time, Brad Rasmussen, he stood up and said something about the power of the show and that he's here. Someone came up to him and told him maybe they didn't realize until this show was happening that they had been part of a Lake County human trafficking ring. And an investigation was started, and a very large human trafficking ring was blown up because of a traveling theater show here. I just think that's so powerful and so wonderful.
It's a fantastic vacation value at Konocti Harbor Inn on beautiful Clear Lake. Two people stay for 4 days and 3 nights for only $158. Enjoy swimming, boating, water skiing, tennis, gourmet dining, and fun-filled nightlife. Call toll-free for reservations, 1-800-862-4930. Canocti Harbor Inn.
Yeah, so I grew up in the time of Canocti Harbor's heyday. So I was fortunate enough, my family had a boat, so I spent most days of my summer actually there at Canocti. And I have such key, wonderful memories of sitting on our boat below the amphitheater, hearing the music spill off down onto the lake. And it was totally sublime and magical. And places like the Soper-Reese are so unique and so critical in providing a place for people to gather. And there's also an important piece that the Soper-Reese plays in the community of being one of the few large gathering spaces in Lakeport.
One of the things that I miss has been Canocti Harbor Resort and all the concerts and things that were there that brought a lot of people in. The theater gives some options to do things that without it, where do you go? You know, we talked about Canocti a little bit, it's coming back, but it's not the same as it used to be. The arts are, without them, there's a vacancy within any community. The creativity that comes with that and the chance to express yourself in different ways. This is kind of an anchor when you look around at the different programs, the different events and things that get planned in there. Without it, there'd be a big vacancy for this community. So I applaud what they're trying to do to continue to improve that and make that a vital part of our community.
The Soper isn't one thing, it's a community space where town halls can happen. When the fires happened, we had emergency gatherings where we could spread the information and get it to people.
It is important for communities to have a place where you can organize meetings of that kind. The challenge is funding, and that's why we do the wine auction, we do other fundraisers to try to help where we can. And there are people that are pretty well off financially, and they are willing to support because they can see the potential.
We always need a lot more money. We have projects, it's a very old building, you know, it needs work.
They have lots of music. All kinds of people are there. It's very multicultural. And then I tell people the movies, so fun, the retro movies. And I hope that that continues. I know the facade needs to be fixed up, the bathrooms need to be fixed up, but it's still a wonderful, embracing venue for everyone, you know, just to come together and have a good time.
You know, everybody playing in the sandbox together is the metaphor. That the theater company and the community and the symphony and, you know, the bands and everybody is playing in the sand. This is the sandbox and we're playing in it together. A lot of our funds are set aside for either for deferred maintenance and improving the building, you know, finishing some of the stuff we've already started. Also to continue to expand it to meet the bigger needs that we have. We don't have debt. And when we have a project, we earn the money for the project before we start it.
But the other thing is we're aging out. It's like if you go to any kind of classical music, anything, everybody has white hair. We need youth, we need young people to take this over.
Being open-minded to a different crowd coming in here. I think that would be the biggest hurdle that the Soper-Reese has as of right now. If that hurdle can be leaped over and bring in some acts that are still suitable to the Soper-Reese and respectful to the Soper-Reese would probably help. It's just being open-minded to understanding it's not going to be what you're used to seeing crowd-wise.
I do think that there's some fear sometimes with the older generations for change. I think that the changes at the Soper have been gradually happening between more volunteers coming in that are younger, more performers that are coming in that are younger. And so I don't think there's a tightrope as much as there used to be. I think that actually, I think it's working pretty well that we're seeing that there's enough room for everyone here.
I really like music. And that was one thing my parents kind of, and none of us were musical as far as playing instruments well or anything, played a little guitar, sang some, did whatever, but nothing professional. And But we always learned, we always went to concerts, we always went to the ballet once a year or to a play in the city. We lived closer to San Francisco. And so when the Soper-Reese had concerts, music concerts, I started going. A lot of the people that attend are older, but there are young people's things. I did go to a hip hop thing that Taj did one time. I thought my ears were gonna fall off, but not because of the language, but because of the volume.
Lakeport's a pretty big draw throughout at least the western part of the county. So the daytime population is several times bigger than whatever the census tells you. So it's a critical community asset. It's really the one large indoor performance space in that part of the county.
You know, coming back from COVID was tough because before COVID, we were running pretty close to a balance between income and expenses. You know, we weren't gaining in our reserve fund out of the events, but we were covering the expenses of the event. And that went away during COVID and went to zero during COVID, and we still had to pay insurance, we still had to pay the utilities.
Fortunately, we had the shuttered venue grant that the state of California had given out that kept us running. But we've definitely had a drop in numbers, and that has to do with the fact that COVID took out a big chunk of our numbers. Theaters were the last thing to reopen in the state, and it really made it hard because we had to wait the longest before we could start making money again.
The generosity of the community, even during COVID, was still there. We did receive 2 blocks of money that helped us survive those 3+ years. We're just now getting to the point where we were maybe a year before COVID came.
So what I'm always hoping for working in economic development is you're creating a community where people have the option to stay here and grow and thrive. And that's kind of the ultimate goal. And that is sometimes challenging in a rural community.
Having a sense of roots has become very important. Prior to moving to Lake County, the longest I lived anywhere was 7 years, and I've been here 17 now. I mean, I often say all the best things I have in life have come to me through theater arts. It's possible that most of the best things in my life in Lake County have come to me through the Soper-Reese. A special place for me. A lot has happened here. We got married here on this stage.
Really?
Yeah.
What I think is really exciting at this moment in time for Lake County and Kelseyville, is that a lot of our youth are coming back into the county and they're making an impact.
I went away to college to Chico State University, and in my final year of college, the Valley Fire happened. That happened in Cobb, and at the time it was the 3rd worst wildfire in California's history. Now it's moved down the list quite a bit, but we were kind of the first to experience that in a way, and we have set a benchmark of how to be resilient through that. And so we've gone hyper local. We're supporting one another right here, and that's what makes the Lake County community so powerful and strong.
Just the eclectic variety of people that have been able to perform with the theater company on the Soper stage. We've had kids all the way up to Joan Holman, I think it was in her 90s, performing on the stage. Yeah. We've had people with special needs in a variety of our shows. And so it's again, sometimes some misfits can join together and be a part of this family. And I think that that's beautiful for them to have a space.
I think that it's really a more local need and so forth, that it has a local feel to it. With the bands, the people that come here from outside feel at home here because there's an atmosphere that's created that's friendly, that's welcoming. You know, everybody that works here except for our technicians are volunteers, and that's infectious because they're here because they want to be. That's how this place developed, and it's probably what's going to happen in the future. You know, we're not a rich community, but we're rich in a lot of other ways.
When the ships were coming back from World War II and being dismantled, this is one of the safest places I could be.
Blasted!